Hi guys, thank you for tuning into this recorded live meeting. I did want to do this meeting for a few reasons. Always receive quite a bit of questions on the portfolio project in this course, and I think it's important for my students to have me basically go over extensively what the project is, what you're going to be completing, and the expectations so that you can be successful in completing this project. So that being said, I'm going to go over step by step what needs to be done, what's going to be taking place over the next few weeks in the course that's ultimately going to lead up to you submitting this final paper. All right, so with that being said, we are going to go into the course. So we're on the main course page right now. We all know this page. We've been in it in the course so far. If you look over here on the left, you're going to see this weeks area. Okay, now if we click the weeks area and we click on week 2, we're going to scroll down and see activities. Okay, we're going to click that and we're going to look right here and we're going to see portfolio, project directions, and rubric. This is where you're going to find the directions for how to complete this project. I have 2 of these pulled up, so I want to take one of these down really quickly. I'm going to make this bigger so you can see it. All right, so basically we went to, I'm going to go back in the course. We went to weeks. We went to week 2. We scrolled down to activities. And then we clicked the portfolio project directions and rubric, and that brought up this. This is everything you're going to need to know about the project as a whole. So this is, and you'll hear me refer to it in the course as portfolio project. It's actually the portfolio project, and it's the professional plan, because that's what you're going to be doing basically, is outlining a plan for a hypothetical or a real employer. And what you're going to be doing is in this plan, which is basically just an essay, guys. It's a 3 to 4 page essay. It's double spaced and typed. We'll get into that in just a minute. But in this plan, you're going to basically be, you're basically going to address the paper as if you are speaking to either a real or pretend employer that offers a tuition reimbursement program with their company. And what you have to do to get that tuition reimbursement is you've got to discuss with them what your plan of study is, your major, if you will, and all the different aspects of your career field, such as what you can do with this career, how much it pays, what the working environment's like, and so forth. So you're going to explain all that about your field, and then you're going to persuade them why they should pay for your school tuition. Okay, it's as simple as that. So this project is worth 20% of your grade in this course. So it's a big chunk of your grade, and that's why we want to make sure that you fully understand things. So I'm going to go over this, and I'm going to go over it step by step. And of course, you can watch this meeting as many times as you would like. You could take notes along the way, whatever you want to do to help you be successful. And of course, if you do have questions after you've watched the meeting, you can reach out to me. But I really think this meeting is going to help you a lot. So I'm not going to read the outcomes, the course outcomes, or the institutional outcomes for you, because honestly, I'm sorry guys, I had something in my eye, because honestly, I don't want to bog you down with all that information. What I do want to scroll on down here is basically where the paper's going to start. Okay, so like I said, this paper is ultimately going to be a 3 to 4 page double-spaced paper following proper APA style guidelines. So you're going to need a title page, 3 to 4 pages of double-spaced content, using 12-point font size, Times New Roman on the font, and then a reference page as well. So how do you approach this paper? What do we want you to do, right? Okay, well, here's the scenario. I want you to think about as if you're writing this paper for either a real or pretend employer. Either way, whatever works best for you works best for me. In this paper, you're going to pretend that this employer, either real or pretend, has a tuition reimbursement program at their company, which basically will pay for 100% of your college tuition, which is phenomenal, by the way. If you ever find that, hang on to that employer. So you're going to pretend that either this real or this hypothetical employer has a tuition reimbursement program with their company, which they will pay 100% of your college tuition. The catch is this. First, you have to explain to this employer why your field is important, the different aspects of your field, such as working environment, salary, what kind of education you need to enter this field, the things you can do with this field, and so much more. And why and basically why they should pay for your tuition. You're persuading them to pay for your tuition by talking about all the different aspects of your field and why it's important. Okay? So that's basically what we're doing. Now we're going to be specifically addressing some questions though. So let's move on down and talk about what this paper and I want you to just kind of point this out first. Here are the deadlines. This is what you'll be submitting each week. In week 3, we'll have essential questions, okay? That's just a discussion that we do. But also in week 3, we're going to be creating annotated bibliographies. I'm going to try to show you an example of that in just a second so you know what an annotated bibliography is. But basically, we're going to be collecting research to add to our paper that discusses our field, the salary, the education that's needed, the working environment we can expect, and why this field is important. We're going to be collecting research to support all those different things. Because when we write about, let's say, for instance, how much salary you can expect to make in this field or this career, we don't know this off the top of our head. We have to research that. So we're going to locate the research on that to include in our paper. But when we do that, we have to include a reference for that as well, because that wasn't something we just pulled off the top of our head. We actually had to research to find that information. So in your annotated bibliography that's going to be due in week 3, all an annotated bibliography is basically just locating some research. In your submission, you'll include the properly formatted reference for that research. Under that, a short summary of the research article that you found. You just need to do that twice here, okay? Ultimately, in your paper, you're going to have 4 references, but in this assignment, because we're just in the initial stages of completing this portfolio project, you only need to have 2 pieces of research in that annotated bibliography assignment submission due in week 3, okay? So you'll just have a properly formatted reference for the research you found and a summary of the research article that you found, okay? And again, a lot of times my students ask me, well, what kind of research am I looking for? Well, you're looking for anything that can support your points that you're going to make in your final submission of your paper that'll be due by the end of week 7. So let's talk about what you need in this paper, and that'll help you to see what kind of research you need to be finding. All right, so I'm going to go over all this again in a second, but the first thing I want to do is talk about what you're including as far as content in the paper, because that'll help you to understand what you need to be researching. So let's scroll on down to number 4 right here. In your 3 to 4 page paper that will be submitted in week 7, you're going to discuss the following things. Remember that this paper is written as if you're talking to either a real or a hypothetical employer. You're explaining the different things about your choice of major in college, basically, your field, and why they should pay for your tuition, why it's relevant, why, all these different things. So in your paper, you're going to address what are the responsibilities of this field, the tasks that you'll have to complete, growth trends. For instance, if medical and billing and coding is a field which is going to grow tremendously over the next few years because of the demands of new things such as Obamacare and things like that, we can find that information. We can say there's a growth trend here that there's only so many people coming out of college, and the demand for people in this position is going to be a lot more than the people that are coming out of this field. So that's why I'm choosing this field. It's going to be a great field. It's going to be very lucrative and I'm not going to have a problem finding a job in it, all these different things. So what are the responsibilities, tasks, growth trends, salaries, lifelong learning opportunities, and other relevant aspects of 3 careers in your field of interest? So why are we, if we're persuading this employer to pay for your tuition, why are we having you discuss 3 different careers here? Well, because sometimes when we come out of school with a specific degree, we can use that degree for multiple different things. And there might be a point in your life that you go, you know what, I don't want to do this career anymore, but I have this wonderful degree. I'd like to use it in this career instead. Let me give you the example of if you're going in medical billing and coding, 3 career, because medical billing and coding is such a specific field, the careers might be like this. Okay, you could use medical billing and coding and work for a private doctor's office. You could use it working at a hospital and one more other thing. Okay, so you can talk about those things as far as medical billing and coding is your field of interest, but you can use it doing 3 different types of careers. You can work from home with it, or and work for a specific type of company. You can work for a private doctor's office, or you could even work for a hospital. So you're going to want to talk about, for all those different 3 careers, you're going to want to talk about the responsibilities you'll have as an employee working as a medical billing and coding individual, what tasks you'll have to form or have to complete every day, what growth trends research shows would be in that field. I mean, is this a field that's going to continue to grow over the next few years or decades or whatever? What kind of salary you could expect out of these 3 careers. If you work for a hospital, how much is the average salary for a medical billing and coding person? If you work for a private doctor's office, what's the salary? If you work, for a private company working from home, what's the salary? So this is all information that you're going to have to research. You can't just say, well, I think this makes this amount. No, you're going to have to research these things. And that's the beauty of this assignment. Not only are we learning how to put our research skills into action to locate this material, but we're also learning about possible careers that we can enter as well, which is a wonderful thing. So that's what you're going to be really researching, is this different things. So we don't want to just guess at the responsibilities that you have as a medical biller and coder. We want to research it. Find it, and that's one piece of research. We don't want to just guess at the tasks you'll have to complete every day or the working environment that you'll be in these 3 different careers in your field of interest, which is medical billing and coding. We want to find that research about what your day might look like, what type of working environment you can expect and more. So you're going to want to research that. That's another piece of research. Growth trends. How is this field growing? Is it something that more people are coming out of college than there are jobs, or vice versa? This is something you want to know. Salaries, we don't want to guess at that either. We want to locate that research. We want to know how much these careers pay, and that's where more research is going to come in. Lifelong learning opportunities basically means like over the next few years, the different certifications, because sometimes when we get our degree, our education doesn't stop there. We can continue to get certifications to make our resume even stronger. So, if you're a medical biller and coder, then there might be certain certifications you can get that really pushes you ahead in this, or not even certifications, but training. There's, no matter what field you go into, you're constantly going to have to be going through training. So we want to talk about this here. Again, that's something you have to research. That's more research that you can find. So you're going to, in your paper, you're going to discuss all those things for 3 different careers in your field of interest. And your field of interest is going to be the program you're currently studying and 3 different careers that you could do from that program of study. Okay, let's flip gears. I know a lot of my students are majoring in the field of business. Okay, so if you're majoring in the field of business, you're going to want to choose 3 careers to focus on here that you could do with a business degree. All right, so you could, let's see here, you could, gosh, there's so many things you can do with business. I'm trying to narrow it down in my mind. But if you decided to focus in business, then you could work as a director of sales for a company. That's one career. You could work as an area manager for another company, or you could work as I'm trying to think of something that's a little different for you here. You could work as a resort manager, for instance. You can manage a resort, okay, a general manager for a resort. So those are three different types of careers. Now, what you're going to do is, if business is your field, then you would look at those three careers that you found, whatever it is that you're interested in the business field. And you're going to talk about the responsibilities of each of those careers. What are you responsible for? A great way to find responsibilities is basically to go online and find a job description for someone who is a general manager at, let's say, a hotel. Okay, let's say that was one of the careers you chose. So you would see all the responsibilities there. That's a piece of research that you found. So you're going to include that as a reference and provide a reference to that in your paper. You're going to talk about the responsibilities that that career has. You're going to talk about the tasks that that person would have to complete each day. What do they have to do? You're going to talk about growth trends. Is there a demand for more people to have business degrees? If so, what's the growth trend like for the next few years? You'll find all of that on like government websites. You could really go onto a general search engine such as Google and type in growth trends for general managers, or growth trends for medical billing and coding, medical biller and coders. Excuse me, I got my tongue tied on that one. So that's more research. Going back to the business example, though, you would want to research salaries for, what did I say, a director of sales, salaries for a general manager, and salaries for an area manager in a specific field. Okay. You'd want to talk about lifelong learning opportunities. If you have a major in business, there's always going to be room for you to learn later on different things. You might want to go back for your MBA, Master's of Business Administration. You might want to get certifications for things. There's always like things such as Six Sigma. It's a business certification that a lot of people get. There's lots of learning opportunities for that kind of stuff. So all of those things will be things that you're gathering research on. And that's going to be things you're going to discuss in your paper. All right. So to pause there for just a minute, I want to go back up to the due dates. In week 3, we're submitting the annotated bibliography assignment. So I know I keep getting a lot of questions saying, what am I researching? You're researching, or you're finding research on all of these things. The 3 careers that you've chosen to talk about in this paper, that you're persuading this employer on. Remember, you're choosing to persuade an employer on why they should pay for your college tuition based on your field of study, and you're telling them all about your field of study and these 3 careers that you can do if you get this degree. Okay, so basically you're selling the fact that if they just pay for your tuition, then you could have this degree. You could do at least these three different careers, and you would give them background information on each career. Basically, you're going to talk about the responsibilities you'll have in these careers, the tasks you'll have to complete, growth trends. So you're talking to these individuals as if they know nothing about this field that you're studying and these 3 careers that you could do with your degree. You're selling them on the fact that if they just pay for your tuition, this is the productive human being that you could be, basically. Okay, so ultimately we're going to have 4 references in your paper, but we're building on things. We're building up to that final submission in week 7, where you have the 3 to 4 page paper and the 4 references. And we're doing that by first starting our research, and that's where in week 3 we're going to have the annotated bibliography assignment due, where we basically just find 2 pieces of research at this point, just 2, which talk about any of those things that I just discussed. Your responsibilities, the tasks, the growth trends, salaries, any of those things for those 3 careers in your field of interest. Okay? And in your annotated bibliography, you're just going to include the properly formatted reference for this piece of research and a summary of the information you found. So let's say that you found this piece of research that discusses what kind of responsibilities you'd have as a medical biller and coder, what kind of task you'll have to have, the salary you'll make, and so forth. You're going to include a properly formatted reference for that piece of research and a summary of everything you found in that article. Okay? And then you're going to find another piece of research and you're going to do the same thing because you only need 2 in that week 3 assignment. Okay, so what else are we talking about in this paper that'll be submitted in week 7 though? Because we're building up, we're finding the information. In week 3, we're starting to find the research. In week 6, we'll submit a rough draft of the assignment. So we'll submit a rough draft of that 3 to 4 page paper with the 4 references and all that. That's going to be submitted ultimately in week 7 for the final submission. But what else do we need to discuss in this paper? So we start by discussing the 3 careers you could do as a whole in your field of interest, whatever that is. We talk about the responsibilities, the tasks, the growth trends, the salaries, the lifelong learning opportunities, all those things. What else do we need to talk about in this 3 to 4 page paper? Good question. We need to talk about what areas from these different things that I just discussed drew you to this career. We're all drawn to careers for specific reasons. Perhaps it was the fact that you could work from home, that there's a really big growth trend, there's a need for more of these employers. Perhaps you just like the fact that the salary was good, or that you could continue learning in that job field and move up. So whatever it is you want to discuss, after you discuss 3 careers that you could focus on from your program of study, so whatever those 3 careers are, and you've discussed the responsibilities of those careers, the tasks, the growth trends, the salaries, the lifelong learning opportunities, and all those different things from these 3 careers, you're going to want to talk about what drew you to this career field. Why is it important that why did you choose these career fields or these careers in this field of interest? Why did you choose to become a medical biller and coder? Why did you choose to major in business? Why did you choose the 3 specific careers that you're discussing in this paper? Why? That's where you're going to talk about that. Next, you're going to talk about what content knowledge expertise is required for success in this field. What do I mean by that? Well, for example, let's see here. For example, you would talk about you can't just graduate high school and become a medical biller and coder, can you? Well, of course not. You have to have certain certifications or certain education to do that. You've got to have a degree in that or whatever. You can't just oftentimes you can't just become a director of sales for a big company. You have to have a degree in business. You have to have, training of some sorts. Here's another example. Let's say that your program of study is business, and one of the 3 careers that you've talked about is you want to work in medical sales, pharmaceutical sales, medical device sales, any of that kind of stuff. Well, for C, it's asking you what kind of content knowledge do you need to be successful in that career. I can tell you right now, you can't enter one of those careers that I just discussed without having a bachelor's degree in either a medical field somewhere or a bachelor's degree in business, okay? And on top of that, you have to have training, online training, on medical pharmaceutical sales or medical device sales. So you have to have the degree and the training to go into that field and be successful. Okay, and so we've talked about A and B and C here, what you need so far. And then in the final part of your paper, you're basically going to write 1 paragraph which discusses if you were asked by a student, it's going to say if you were asked by a student next semester how they should approach this assignment that you've just completed here and be successful with this assignment, what advice would you give them? Maybe you would say, well, the first thing you need to do is you need to locate all the research on these 3 careers that you might want to go into. You need to go on the virtual library's website. You need to look up growth trends and salaries and all those things. Maybe that would be some advice you would give them to help them be successful. I don't know. Maybe you'd give them some other different advice. You'd also want to talk about in this little short paragraph at the end, how did the consideration of an employer as the audience influence how you approach the assignment? Well, how did it change the way you wrote the paper, basically? Because you're not talking to me in this paper. Remember, you're pretending that this paper is written for either a real or pretend employer that you're trying to discuss your your program of interest, whatever degree path you're on right now, and 3 careers you might want to enter with this one day. And basically tell them about these different 3 careers as far as the responsibilities you'll have, the tasks you'll have to complete, the growth trends, the salaries, the learning opportunities you'll need to continue to complete along the way, training and education and so forth, um, and why they should pay for your tuition. Okay, so that's it. So that pretty much is what you need to know for this project. I will break it down a little bit more here. So ultimately, that's the paper. But in week 3 and 4, you're going to be submitting 2 different annotated bibliographies. Okay, so an annotated bibliography. Let me pull something up here for you real quick. I want to show you what an annotated bibliography is. In week 3, you're submitting an annotated bibliography, and also in week 4, you're submitting an annotated bibliography. Both of these assignments in week 3 and week 4 are going to ask you to submit, I believe, 2 annotated bibliographies. Okay, and that's because if you submit 2 annotated bibliographies in week 3 and 2 annotated bibliographies in week 4, what does that give you? 4 annotated bibliographies. And in the final paper that you submit in week 7, don't you need 4, not annotated bibliographies, but 4 references? Yeah. And you've already gotten that just by completing the research assignments, the annotated bibliography assignments in week 3 and week 4. Okay, so what is an annotated bibliography? Well, you can check out this website. I've also provided it to you in the course. But if you click on the website and you scroll down, I'm going to show you. This is a sample annotated bibliography. This is just one. Remember, in your week 3 assignment and your week 4 assignment, you're going to have 2 of these. Okay, so this is a sample annotated bibliography. It basically, what you're doing is you're locating a piece of research that you want to back up your points with in your paper, basically. So like I said, your research, you want to research the responsibilities of these 3 careers you're talking about, the tasks, the growth trends, the salaries, lifelong learning opportunities, and so forth. Okay, so we can't just say that we know this stuff. We have to research it, and when we find research we want to use in the paper for those things, we're going to first we're going to create a reference for that piece of research. Okay, we're going to create an APA reference for that piece of research, and then under that properly formatted reference, we're going to summarize the information that we found in that piece of research, that article, whatever it was. We're going to provide a short summary so that when we look back on it later on, we go, oh yeah, this article talked about this, because all we got to do is look at our summary and see that. So in week 3, we're going to have 2 of these. So you basically have a reference and a summary, and then another reference and a summary, and that'll be your week 3 assignment. Same deal for your week 4 assignment, of course, with different research. Okay, but ultimately that's going to provide all the research you need for that final paper that's due in week 7. All right, so that's the annotated bibliography assignment in week 3 and week 4. You're just going to find that research, and you're going to create those annotated bibliographies. Okay, now in week 6, you're going to submit a rough draft of your paper, that 3 to 4 page paper. And again, remember that all you're doing in the paper is you're writing as if you're talking to either a real or pretend employer. You're writing this paper and telling them about the degree path you're on, your field of interest, whatever, 3 careers you could do with this degree that you're going to obtain. You're going to talk about these 3 careers in terms of what the responsibilities are, what the daily tasks are, what the growth trends are for this, the salary that you can expect in each of these 3 careers, and the education and training that you can continue to do later on. Okay? Also in this paper, and you're going to do that for all the 3 careers that fall under your field of interest, you're also going to talk about what areas from the list that I just talked about up here. You're going to talk about what areas drew you to this. Was it the fact that you just like the salary? Was it the fact that there's going to be a lot of jobs open in this career path in the future and the salary? Or was it the fact that you can continue to learn throughout your career with this career that you've chosen, this lifelong learning? Was it the fact that you can work from home and have more flexibility of schedule? Maybe. But all of these things you won't know until you do that research. Okay? So you're going to talk about that. You're going to talk about what content knowledge you need to be successful in this. Like I said, content knowledge is like what type of education you need, what type of training you need, do you need any certifications, and so forth. And then on the final paragraph of this paper, you're going to talk about if you're advising a student next semester on this project that you just completed to ensure that they were successful, what advice would you give them on how to approach this project? And how did considering the employer, this pretend or fake employer, as the audience of your paper, how did it influence how you wrote the paper as a whole? Okay? And so a rough draft of that will be due in week 6. And then I'll give you some feedback. You'll kind of critique some stuff, and then you'll submit your final draft in week 7. And that's it. So just a few final notes. Don't forget that, like I said, week 3 is your annotated bibliography. You need 2 of those. It's just a reference and a summary of the information you found. You need 2 of those. Week 4, you're going to do the same thing, 2 more annotated bibliographies. In week 6, you're going to have your rough draft of your 3 to 4 page paper. In week 7, you'll submit your final paper after fixing a few things. And then that's it. So the paper needs to be the ultimate paper in week 7 that you'll submit will be a 3 to 4 page paper, double spaced, typed. You need to have a title page and a properly formatted reference page using APA, not MLA format, APA format, with at least 4 credible references. And again, all those references are from the annotated bibliography you did in week 3 and week 4. What are you referencing or researching, if you want to call it that way? What are you researching? Well, you're researching the responsibilities, tasks, growth trends, salaries, and lifelong learning opportunities from 3 careers that you could do based on the field of interest you're in, the degree that you're obtaining. That's it. All right, so hopefully this helps you. I'm hoping that it does. If you scroll down to the end of the document, and again, I filmed this document in our course simply by clicking, let me go back to the course, simply by clicking on the weeks link, the week 2 link, scrolling down to activities, clicking on the activities link, and clicking on portfolio project directions and rubric. That is exactly what this document is right here that I just went over with you, okay? That's it right there, and it outlines everything that I just talked about. But if you scroll down to the bottom of this thing, you're going to find the rubric, and all that is a breakdown of what I'm looking for in the paper, okay? So basically it says you'll score perfect points on this this paper as far as content goes if you do all of the things over here, okay? So, but it's everything I just talked about, so I don't want to bog you down with all that information. But that's it, guys. That is it. So if you have any questions at all, please do